What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today I have the Portland International Jetport Airport update for you guys for July and August 2026. I will not be alone doing this airport update today. I have a very special guest joining me, which is Anderson or Syracuse Aviation. Syracuse, my bad. He is absolutely a great guy, and I cannot thank him enough for wanting to do an airport update with me. He was actually interning, at PWM. So his knowledge will be very valuable for this airport update. So if he says any additional information, listen to him, learn from him, and you won't go wrong. But anyway, let's start off with this airport update.
Hey everyone, this is Syracuse Aviation here. Hope you guys are all doing well. Very excited to be here for today's Portland International Jetport airport update on Bryce's channel. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Before we get started with today's update of PWM, just a little bit about the airport itself. The airport's located just a few miles downtown Portland, Maine. PWM is the largest commercial airport in the state of Maine, serves as a gateway for not only the leisure travelers, but mainly the business travelers, especially during the summer throughout northern New England. This airport sees a really awesome mix of traffic from your low-cost carriers, your legacy carriers. You get everything from regional jets up to some large mainline aircraft. A lot of cool special liveries that come in on various days. One thing that really stands out about the Portland Jetport, as you guys may know, is the name Jetport. Contrary to popular belief, the Jetport wasn't really chosen to avoid confusion with the Portland International Airport, PDX, although that does happen to be a nice little benefit. The name actually dates back to the jet age, when airports across the country were kind of transitioning from more of your propeller aircraft to the jet-powered aircraft. Portland really just wanted to highlight that and was embracing kind of that new generation of air travel and the modernizing and growth that was happening. Today, PWM continues that tradition. A lot of variety here in airlines, again, and aircraft types as well, and the destinations serving the market. So with all that said, let's take a look at some of the operations that we have represented today in Portland International Jetport.
So starting us off on this PWM airport update, we have this United 737 MAX 8. This is just in the standard MAX 8 livery with no stickers and stuff. He arrived in from Chicago O'Hare, and then he'll be heading back out there as a turn. Chicago is just one of those destinations, where United Mainline is just like almost everywhere in the continental U.S. So making an appearance here. They do also get E-Jet service, I believe, to Chicago. But this MAX 8 is just arriving from Chicago, and then he'll be heading back out to Chicago.
Starting things off for us today, we have this United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. This guy's arriving in from the Denver International Airport. This aircraft is operating as a standard MAX 8. We see the Together sticker on there. It is operating as a standard MAX 8, though. The Denver route is essential for PWM, just like many other mid-size airports. It's a huge gateway to not only Denver itself, but the West Coast. Speaking of the West Coast, PWM has also introduced San Francisco and LA, as I'm sure we will see later in this update. Very excited to have those Saturday-only services, and the San Fran service was actually doing so well it got extended into October, but I digress. After a quick turnaround in Maine, the MAX 8 is going to head right back out to Denver. Nice turnaround for this guy, continuing another wonderful day of operations between Maine and the Mountain West.
Then next up, after that United 737 MAX 8 and Together sticker, operating as regular MAX 8, here we have this United Express ERJ 175. He'll be heading over to Washington Dulles after arriving in from there. Dulles is another one of those destinations that pretty much along the east quarter or east coast of the U.S., they'll pretty much have United Express. They'll have a service pretty much to Dulles. Again, it's the 175. He's arriving again from Washington Dulles, and then he'll be heading back out there.
Next up, we have a Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800. This guy is arriving in from Baltimore, Washington International Airport. This guy will be heading out to Nashville, Tennessee. Baltimore, obviously, an essential for any Southwest operations in the Northeast. Lots of great connections through BWI. And then Nashville, obviously, growing super fast. Southwest is doing really well there, so nice to have that summertime connection to Nashville as well.
And then right here after that Southwest, Center 700, here we have a Breeze A220-300. This is the first of my two Breeze A220-300s I have in this airport update. This one's just arriving in from Norfolk, and then he'll be heading over to Akron in Ohio. Breeze has rapidly expanded out of here. It's crazy how many routes they have out of here now. They have a good amount all year round and a good amount seasonally. I can list them off the top of my head. But yeah, it's a lot. And again, like, he's arriving in Norfolk, Virginia, and he'll be out in Akron in Ohio.
Next up here, we have the JetBlue Airways Airbus A320. This guy's heading out to New York JFK on the turnaround service, of course. During the summer, the only JetBlue destination Portland Jetport has going is JFK, but it's on 2 daily flights, so that's really nice to see. In my time at PWM, I've seen a lot of cancellations and delays for the JetBlue JFK service. Generally is the midday service that those occur on. I think a lot of that is just to do with weather a lot of the time, and I think there's probably some other issues too. I don't know what that would be, but definitely weather has a role during the summer. Sometimes that causes the flight the next day to be on an A321, as a lot of those passengers have rebooked onto the next flight. Then they need an upgauge of aircraft to accommodate all those people. So a lot of inconsistency and inconvenience for the passengers, but it does at least provide a cool opportunity to see some variety on the service. There wasn't actually an A321neo on the service today because I think yesterday's flight, as of the time of recording this video, for me, I was canceled or delayed significantly or something. So today is the 321neo, which was also delayed by 5 hours today. So kind of just for whatever reason, just a domino effect of events for this service. But regardless, this A320 for this update heading back out to JFK.
Following that JetBlue A320, here we have a Delta Connection CRJ-900. He's arriving in from New York LaGuardia, and then he'll be heading over to New York JFK. Again, these routes are just like sort of United to Washington Dulles on their express. Delta Connection will pretty much serve like JFK or LaGuardia on connection on like the east coast of the U.S. They'd also send E-jets like the E-175, E-170 to those destinations, but again, CRJ-900 again from New York LaGuardia heading over to New York JFK.
Next up, we have one of my favorite services here at Portland International Jetport. This is the Delta Airlines Boeing 737-900ER, arriving from Minneapolis-St. Paul, heading right back out there on the turnaround service, of course. This is a really cool example of some of Portland's unique mainline service during the summer. Minneapolis being one of Delta's largest hubs. This is a really important connection for us during the summer season with all the leisure travel here. A great Midwest connection for all the people out there coming to Portland, and a little bit of West Coast as well, I should say. And so, yeah, during the summer we have the 739, which is really nice, competing with Sun Country, as we will see later on. So once again, nice to see the 739 here heading out to Minneapolis-St. Paul.
Next up, we have a American Airbus A320. Now, these routes would normally be operated on a A319, but I for some reason put an A320 in here. So yeah, but anyway, this American A320, he arrived in from Philadelphia, and he'll be in over to Washington Reagan. It's cool to see those routes on mainline aircraft instead of just regionals. But again, like a bunch of these routes, like for regionals, and then also these two routes, again, you'll see like most East Coast airports have these routes to like these American, Delta, and United hubs. But anyway, on to the next aircraft.
Next up, we have an American Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Astrojet Retro livery, filling in for just a standard 737-800. This aircraft will be heading out to Dallas-Fort Worth today after arriving from New York LaGuardia. That's a really cool mainline service once again at Portland. Jetport is the LaGuardia service. Dallas is still a really cool service, but it's a little bit more generic. It's just not something you really expect to see as much for the LaGuardia service. Usually that's more Delta. American does obviously still have a lot out of LaGuardia, but usually you're not going to see mainlines for a small city like Portland. But again, during the summer leisure period, the demand is very much there. Some days this is operated on a MAX. A lot of the times I've seen it's on a MAX, but Dallas generally isn't on a MAX, and so that's why we have LaGuardia on the standard 800 today. So really nice to see this. Once again, the 737-800 filling in for a standard livery, heading out to Dallas after arrival from New York LaGuardia.
Alright, so right here we have the Sun Country 737 and the Minnesota Gophers livery. So this guy's actually arriving again on like a little bit of a charter. So if you didn't see one of Anderson's shorts on his channel, there's a Sun Country 737 arriving again from, I believe it was Atlantic City on like some charter. I don't know where it headed out after that, but we're just gonna say he flew in from there and he's just gonna go back to base at Minneapolis, St. Paul. But it's cool to see Sun Country here, and now I can represent them with a model of the aircraft, although I would like to have a special, not special livery, a regular livery of that soon. But anyway, yeah, on to our next aircraft.
Next up, we've got an American Eagle Embraer E175. This guy's arriving from Chicago O'Hare International Airport, a very typical destination for the American 175. And this aircraft will be heading out to Washington Reagan National Airport, DCA, two very critical connections for Portland. DCA gets a lot of 319s. We do still obviously get the 175. Chicago sometimes gets the 319 depending on the specific month. So really nice to see some variety on this service. But today we've got both represented on the beautiful Embraer 175. Wonderful, wonderful aircraft.
All right, then next up here we have the Republic House livery E175 S. We're going to say this guy's on the New York LaGuardia turn, just like American Mainline. It's cool how they have New York LaGuardia instead of just New York JFK. Well, in this case, I believe they only just have New York LaGuardia. But yeah, it is cool to see that on Mainline and regional. But yeah, again, this Republic E175 house livery, arriving again from New York LaGuardia, and then he'll be doing the turn back out there.
Next up, we've got a Breeze Airways Airbus A220-300. This guy's heading out to Raleigh-Durham, one of my favorite airports. I've flown out of there from time to time as I, in college, live about 2 hours north of there, and so Raleigh is just oftentimes my airport of choice, and so nice connection to that airport. So excited to see Raleigh here in this PWM Airport Update. Love the Breeze A220s as well. Great passenger experience on those aircraft, and yeah, this aircraft will be heading down to Charleston, South Carolina, another wonderful destination for Mainers, but also to bring people to Maine for the summer.
Okay, so we have our third and final American Eagle E175. This E175, he'll be heading over to Chicago O'Hare, and he'll be doing the turn. Again, like Chicago O'Hare, like American and United both operate that out of here. And again, that's like sort of a common route for both those you can see on the East Coast. And no shortage of flights to Chicago O'Hare out of this airport. But yeah, again, like American Eagle E175 arriving in Chicago O'Hare, and then he'll be heading back out there.
And then next up, we have an American Eagle Embraer 145. This guy is arriving from Philadelphia. He's going to be heading right back out there. Philadelphia also gets the American 319s. It's crazy, PWM during the summer. I mean, sometimes I'll go out, you know, before my shift ends for the day, just for a nice little ramp walk, and kind of down where that new expansion is that you'll see in this update with the long jet bridges, we'll have like 4 or 5 American mainlines on the ground parked at a gate at the same time, and that's not even during the overnight period. That's just, and it's still 5 o'clock rush hour, of course, so of course there's going to be a lot of traffic, but generally if you're going to see that many mainlines from the same airline on the ground at once at an airport of this size, it's usually going to be the overnight period. So really, really awesome to see that here at Portland Jetport. So, but anyways, this guy, the ERJ-145, is operating the Philadelphia turn today.
Then my final aircraft for the airport update, here we have the United Express ERJ-175. He's arriving in from Newark, and then he'll be heading back out to Newark. This is like, again, like Washington does. Like, United will pretty much fly to a bunch of places out of Newark from the East Coast. But yeah, good to see it here. And again, this E175 arriving in from Newark, and he'll be doing the turnaround back out to Newark.
Finally, we have the Delta Airlines Airbus A320. This guy's arriving from Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport. This guy will be heading right back out to Atlanta. Atlanta's a mix of A321s, A320s, I might have seen some 737s on there recently, maybe a 739, but it's mainly A320s, A321s. I think the 321s are generally, I think they have like an 8 or 9 p.m. and then one later in like the 11 o'clock hour. So a really cool mix of mainline aircraft on the service, lots of seats every single day going down to Atlanta. So we love to see that, being Delta's largest hub and the largest airport in the world. Pretty obvious thing that you're going to see at an airport of this size, just to have a lot of capacity to Atlanta. So really nice to see that consistency here, and glad to have this represented in today's airport update.
So that does conclude this airport update for Portland International Jetport for July and August of 2026. I want to again thank you, Anderson, Syracuse Aviation, for joining me for this airport update. Again, like, I hope some of the stuff he said was how should I say, it's like really great. He's such a great dude. So go follow him on Instagram. Go follow him on his YouTube channel. Really helps him out. And then also use his code for Final Approach Collectibles. I'll leave that in the description along with the link to Final Approach Collectibles. But yeah, he's just such a great dude. And I can't wait to maybe do some more with him in the future. But I think I'll let him close out this video as well. But from my perspective, thank you very much all for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
So that'll wrap up today's operations at the Portland International Jetport for this airport update. Once again, really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Bryce, thank you. And to all of you watching, I was glad to be here. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for watching, and definitely consider subscribing to Bryce's channel. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and obviously, as you all know from watching his content, some great content. Really enjoyable. So yeah, very glad to be here. Thank you all, and take care.